Chris Matthews.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the February 9th, 2018 edition of Colorado Inside Out Postgame, a special web-exclusive production here on Channel 12. We're already off to a rousing start. I'm Dominic Dizzuti. Let's get a quick take on Senate Minority Leader Lucia Guzman withdrawing her involvement from the disciplinary process regarding sexual harassment claims against State Senator Randy Baumgardner. KUNC's Benta Berkland reports that Guzman sent a letter to Senate GOP leaders Wednesday, citing this behavior has been happening for decades and, quote, "It's my hope that withdrawing my name in protest draws more attention to what's been going on." Meanwhile, Senate Democrats are still pushing for Baumgardner to step down. Patty Calhoun from Westward. This is the latest sexual harassment brouhaha over at the state legislature, but there's even more news today coming out on Friday. Is there a path out of this quagmire that we are in with this issue at the state capitol?
Yes. Legislators can quit acting like this, and then the voters who don't like them can vote them out. It is becoming this, I mean, Lucia Guzman does not need to withdraw from that spot in order to bring attention to this. It has all too much attention right now. And you're left wondering, like, what the most recent accusation against Larry Crowder has some inappropriate touch on the floor, which makes you think, wow, it's a lot more lively there than we thought, since the day when Douglas Bruce was kicking photographers in the butt. So everyone needs to learn how to behave, and you can't believe in 2018 people don't know what is correct behavior, but if they need to be reminded, fine. But voters are the ones who ultimately should decide who goes.
David Kopel from the Independence Institute and DU Law School. There's been talk of all the different complaints that have come up, but also about what should be the due process, because some of them, at least, have not necessarily been a criminal situation. It's an accusation. It's technically a workplace, but there's not really a methodology set up. What is that side of that I guess maybe we're missing about the due process side?
Paying attention to the Colorado Constitution. These are not cases like Harvey Weinstein or Bill Clinton of actual forcible rape, for which, if it was proven in court, would be a felony conviction, likely with a significant prison sentence. These are things that range at the lowest end. The accusation, one of the things about Larry Crowder is he doesn't drink, so he was offered a drink at some event where there was a woman within earshot, and he says the line he always does about why he doesn't. Oh, no, thank you. It affects my performance. Now you say that, and a woman hears it and she gets offended. I don't think that's a problem. Another thing is somebody gave him a hug and he grabbed her butt, or that's inappropriate. But the Colorado Constitution, long ago, back in 1875 and 76, they recognized legislators would do inappropriate things, not just on sexual harassment, but on millions of possible topics, and so they provided a procedure to deal with that, which is each house has the authority to expel a member. So, as Patty said, of course it's an election issue for the voters, but even before an election, you can expel a member. So that's the appropriate way to go, not this thing of like, well, I'm going to go to the media and say I want to make this guy resign. Well, maybe you'll succeed at that pressure campaign, but maybe not. And if you want to make push comes to shove, introduce a motion to expel the member, and you can have debate on that on the appropriate body, and that body can decide as a whole and take responsibility for the decision.
Penfield Tate, attorney at QTAC Rock, also a longtime state lawmaker. I am confident, you've never bragged about it, but I'm still confident that a lot of people will call you for advice, whether it's professional legal advice, but as a lawmaker of how to handle something like this. If the Senate President and the Speaker of the House call you and say, what should we do? What needs to happen? Because we have issues in both sides of the Capitol and in both parties. This is not one party or one issue, one house's problem. What needs to be done?
I think first you have to start with the recognition that people misbehave. And legislators being a subset of people, some legislators are going to misbehave, both men and women. It seems to me that if the Speaker and the President came together and put together a committee and came up with a process and a set of protocols and hired an outside investigator and put this whole network and structure in place to investigate these claims, I greatly respect Senator Guzman, but I don't understand why she's withdrawing from the process that I thought the legislative body itself agreed that it would undertake and pursue to deal with these issues. And I agree with Patty on this one. Quitting and saying I'm quitting to bring attention to this doesn't bring any more attention to it than working through the process, coming up with a result or a decision. And if you disagree with the decision, you can then speak about the decision that was obtained as part of the process you've agreed to. But I don't know how you address this if you agree to a process and then it's a free-for-all and people decide whether they're going to work in the process or not work in the process or adhere to it or not. At that point, you have anarchy. And I don't know how you get this issue resolved in that context. So I would tell the Speaker and the President, you need to get your folks together, sit down, and ratify that this is how we're going to handle these things moving forward. And we're either all in or we're not. And if we're not, it's just going to be a free-for-all.
Natasha Gardner, articles editor from 5280. You've written a lot of great pieces when it comes to Colorado politics, especially with folks in the State House and the State Senate. From your perspective, what needs to happen, or I guess what do we need to know about this process that seems mystifying and continues to grow almost, seemingly, each week of the session?
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a topic for a very long time. Kudos to Colorado for having the disciplinary process. This is something that obviously is needed. What we're hearing now is that the process needs review and it needs refinement because it's being tested in a way that we haven't seen in recent years. I mean, there's still questions about how many times this has been used in the past and what that process was. So that's the first thing, sort of transparency. What is this process? What does it look like? In addition to that, timeliness. How quickly are these reviews being done? How quickly is, if the review finds that the accusations are accurate, then what sort of discipline happens? Then moving on to that discipline. How is discipline enforced? Is it consistent across political parties? Is it consistent across situations? Is there some sort of, actual standard that we have here? And then fourth, like how does this all play out? How does it set the standard for the rest of Colorado? Because no matter what, you walk into the Capitol, even if you're not a political, sort of geek, you can feel democracy there. This is where our state is really represented. So they have an opportunity at this moment to set an example for the way that these sort of claims are handled there that would work in other corporations and small businesses and in other situations around the state. So I cannot overemphasize how critical this moment is, even though I'm sure it's frustrating. I'm sure it's disappointing for some people. I'm sure it's infuriating for others. It's still a conversation that truly has to be had in a very public manner.
That's all the time we have for CIO Postgame this week. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. For everyone here at CPT12.org, I'm Dominic Dezzutti. Thanks for watching.